Boys and girls, here we are for our first unit study. Instead of doing Scholastic, you're going to do a video with me. Now, sometimes in the description of the video, there will be other videos or books that I'm going to be telling you to go check out. But you're going to be starting every day with a video from me that sometimes will have links to other things. Now, we want to start, first of all, talking about our own bodies. So you have eyes, right? You have a nose that you can smell with and breathe with. You have a mouth that you can use to take in nourishment. If you need to walk around, you have legs, right? And feet. If you need to move, you have some arms you can do that with. Here's another thing I want you to feel. Inside your body, you guys know, right? You can feel it really well up here. You've got bones in there, don't you? Bones, you can feel them inside your fingers. You can feel a collarbone out over here. You know, there's some hard bones there. We've felt before the bones around our ribs and our hearts that protect our lungs. And then down, you know, under your ribs, you've got a belly. Now, this middle part of your body, it kind of has two parts in it, right? It has the ribs part and it's got the belly part. Now, a grown-up, more sciencey word for that, if they're talking about this part of your ribs, it's kind of your thorax area, that part that has your lungs and your heart in it. And then down the squishy part underneath, where we call it kind of our belly, that has our stomach and our intestines and our liver and some other things like that, that you could call your abdomen. So I want you to remember that. You have a thorax, you have an abdomen, you have a head, you have legs. Keep those in mind. Now, you have one nose, but two nostrils in it, right? You have two arms, two legs, so four kind of leg sorts of things out here. We're going to be talking about bugs. All right, guys, you're going to make your model, and you're going to need glue. You're going to need your cotton balls from in this bag in your supplies. Also, these toothpicks. You might want some tape. I think that's going to be a little easier. And you're going to need your piece of paper with these lines on it. So go ahead, pause the video, find all those supplies, bag with cotton balls and toothpicks, glue, tape, and your lined paper. Okay, guys, an insect has three parts really similar to you. It has a head. It has a thorax, the part where you have your ribs and your lungs and your heart. An insect has lungs and hearts in its thorax also, and an abdomen with its belly and its stomach and all of those kinds of parts. So we're not going to stick these together really hard. You can try taping them together if you want. I'm going to try using my glue here to glue them together a little bit. Now remember, the main reason we make models like this is not to have a beautiful model. If we wanted a beautiful model, we would get all kinds of fancy supplies. The main reason we're doing this is to stick in our brain this information about insects. So head, thorax, abdomen. And I'm going to have to be kind of gentle with it, right? It's just cotton balls and it's just stick glue. So that's not going to stick together very well, but it will a little bit. Next, I'm going to get my scissors and my lined strips of paper. Now, you can cut it out right on the lines if you want to. I think it's actually going to be a little easier with even skinnier pieces of paper. All right, and I'm going to cut some of them wide also, because we're going to pretend these are the bones of the insects. Now, insect bones are way different from people bones. Insect bones go on the outside of their body, believe it or not. Isn't that crazy? So when you look at an insect, what you're actually looking at the outside of an insect is its bones. Have you ever squished one? And you know, they kind of crunch a little bit and then the inside of them is all squishy and squashy. It's pretty gross. That's because the outside of an insect is its bones. So we're going to pretend these strips of paper are the insect bones. And we're going to wrap them around. Now, do you see my insect is trying to fall apart? That's just going to happen, right? We're not doing this to have a beautiful model. We're doing this to help us remember insects have three parts and insects have bones. Now you guys can try to glue that stuff to itself. I'm going to just try to tape it down because remember, I'm not making a beautiful model. I'm just trying to help myself remember how an insect's body works. So I'm going to get one a little bit bigger now for the thorax, because the thorax is usually a little larger than the head. And I'm wrapping, insect bones, exoskeletons, that's what they're called. Those bones on the outside, they're not big wrapped around pieces like this. But this is just what we're doing to try to help us remember the harder parts of an insect, the bone parts. They're on the outside. Now my fatter piece, I'm going to put here around the abdomen. Even a squishy abdomen on an insect is a little bit firm because it has an exoskeleton around it. Its bones are outside everything else. It does not have skin. It has bones on the outside instead. That's why it crunches when your mom or dad steps on it or smashes it. So here we go. Head, thorax, abdomen with our little pretend exoskeleton around it. Next thing you need is your toothpicks. Now, I gave you extra toothpicks so that if some of them break or they don't work right, then that's okay. And if your cotton balls get messed up, you can just use little bits of toilet paper instead. Wrap them up into a ball. All right, so remember, an insect is going to have 3 legs on each side, and it's going to connect to the middle, to the thorax. There we go. Now, the antennae are usually shorter, so I'm going to actually take this toothpick and crack it in half. You can use 2 whole toothpicks if you want. The antennae poke in its head. And this is how it smells or tastes. It's kind of funny. An insect smells and tastes with the same part of its body, but it eats with a mouth. So it doesn't taste in its mouth, it tastes in its nose. All right, there's our antennae. Do you see they're not poked in very well? When I go to pick my insect up, it's all going to probably fall apart. That's okay. I'm not doing this to have a beautiful model. I'm doing this to help myself remember how an insect goes. So now I'm going to take my legs and I'm going to poke them on in my thorax. Do you see how I'm kind of poking in between those papers right there so it goes into the exoskeleton? Haha, exo kind of means out, right? The skeleton's on the outside. If you go through the exit door, you're going out of a building. We're going in the exoskeleton. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, now I stuck some tape here, so I'm going to have to poke pretty hard to get this leg in. Can you see I'm not worrying about making it be beautiful? Because really what I want to do is learn more about it. And sometimes when we work too hard at making it pretty, then we're not accurate. And we actually want to learn about this. There it is. All right, guys, there's one more thing you can do if you want to. And that is the rest of this paper here. If you want to cut some wings out, there are several types of insects with wings. You know this. There are insects that can fly, right? Cockroaches can fly, grasshoppers can fly, ladybugs can fly, butterflies obviously can fly. So I'm going to just cut out a small spot here. And, oh, you could get all kinds of fancy. I'm going to cut out, see, just some kind of pointy oval raindrop sorts of shapes. You could color these if you want to get really fancy. And then there's one other thing you can do if you want to get really, really fancy. So I'm going to tape my wings on here. Of course, you don't have to do wings, but if you do wings and you attach them, they have to go on the thorax. You can see my model's not beautiful, is it? It's just all kinds of funky on there. The other thing is sometimes, if you want it now, the wings could be bigger, couldn't they? Because from looking at bugs, butterfly wings, those are huge, aren't they? Compared to the rest of their body. Sometimes they have a hard shell. Oh my goodness, my legs are falling off. Sometimes they have a hard shell that goes over the wings to protect the wings and the rest of it. It's called an elytra. You don't need to know that word. But if you've seen ladybugs on the outside, those are not wings, those red and black spotted things that you're looking at. They're actually the elytra. And they can cover the thorax and the abdomen. It helps protect the wings and the thorax and the abdomen. So I'm going to make some bigger parts here that are not really right, because an elytra should be bigger than this. And it should cover the thorax and the abdomen exactly right. But that's okay, right? Because again, I'm not making this model to be perfect and accurate. I'm just making it to help myself remember. So I'm going to put them on there so they kind of go down on the abdomen. I could make them even bigger because they can completely cover that abdomen. All right, let's take a look here at some of these examples I have. Now, I'm going to try to move this, and do you see my legs? They're already falling apart. Again, that's okay. We made this model to help ourselves remember, not to make it be beautiful. It was there for us to learn from. That's what you should take a picture of and show it to me, but I'm not going to be going, oh my goodness, what a yucky looking model, because we're just doing it to learn from. Here, they made these beautiful ones, but you're going to see sometimes they're not really accurate. Let's take a look here on this butterfly. Now, there's no elytra on the butterfly, right? It just has its regular wings. But here you can see abdomen, 6 legs attached to the thorax, and here's its little head with 2 antennae and its proboscis sticking out. Here's this, I don't know, I wonder if it's supposed to be a cockroach and they colored it the wrong color. 2 antennae sticking out of its little head here. And these legs, I think they got them too far back into the abdomen because I think the thorax is up there. I think they put them in the wrong spot. Models are not always accurate, but you can see elytra here. These are these kind of hard covers, and then when it flies, it flips them up and the wings pop out. It's almost like a Batman car kind of deal where it, or Transformer, you know, where different pieces can come around. Here's a fly. Now this model is nice and accurate, except that part of its antennae got pulled off. But you can see here, there's a head. Here's the thorax, here's the abdomen, and you can see the wings. And these little legs are attached right there to the thorax. Here's a flea. Fleas don't have antennae. I guess they don't need to smell anything. But when you look at the bottom, you can see here are the legs attached to the thorax, and then down here is the abdomen. Here's a funny kind of beetle guy. But again, I think they put the legs on the wrong spot. You can't really see a thorax and abdomen on here. This is, I think, a katydid, not a grasshopper. But either way, you can kind of see here's the head. These legs should have been farther forward, but here's this nice long abdomen coming out of it. This one's a little better for us. This is a grasshopper. You can see 2 antennae, 6 legs. Here are its wings attached to the thorax. And again, it's got its legs attached up here to the thorax, and then the abdomen is way down there. Because legs don't attach on the abdomen. Legs attach on the thorax. Here's a fly with its 2 wings. Its legs all attach right up here, and you can see a big abdomen down there. Here's a moth that has a proboscis to drink and get its food from, just like the butterfly does, because it drinks liquid. 2 nice little antennae there on the head. 6 legs and the abdomen sticking out. Here's a cricket, just like we have all over the place, but take a look at this. You can see here's head, thorax, abdomen. Let's see, do all 6 of those legs attach on the thorax? They don't. Look at that. They stuck some of these legs way down here on the abdomen. So guys, even though this model may look prettier than the model you made, your model is more accurate. And when we're doing science, we really want to be accurate, don't we? All right. So if we were in the classroom, oh my goodness, we have all these lovely models to take a look at. But we're not there. We'll have to get these out sometime when you guys can take a look at them. Now, a couple things to notice real quick. This sort of guy, we might call him a bug, but look at all those legs. That's not an insect. Same thing with a spider. We might call him a bug, but that's way too many legs. That's not an insect. Caterpillars and larvae, we're going to talk about them a little later. They are insects, and we'll talk later about why they are, even though they don't look like it. That seemed kind of long, a lot to pay attention to. I want you to make sure that you're remembering a few things with me. You have 4 arms and legs. Insects have 6. So put up 6 fingers with me, 3 on this side, 3 on this side. Not all insects have antennae. Many of them do. Take your fingers, put them up for antennae. And then 2 more really important things to remember. First of all, 3 body parts. Head, touch your head and say head. Now, thorax, so touch the part where you can feel your rib bones in there. Touch that and say thorax. And then touch your soft belly down here and say abdomen. Last thing to remember, your bones are under your skin, right? You have skin, muscles, a little bit of protective fat in there. You're not an insect because insects don't have skin on the outside and bones on the inside. Insects don't have skin. They have bones on the outside And then all their other parts are inside, and we call that outside bone part, instead of an inside skeleton, an endoskeleton like we have, they have an outside skeleton called an exoskeleton. Say that with me, exoskeleton. Very nice. Boys and girls, tomorrow we're going to start getting this information put into a book, so you have your own book teaching you about insects.